I have y'all, by the way, balanced in one of my cups of markers. Hello everybody! Today I am doing the ITEACHTOO tag that comes from Too Cool for Middle School. She is an amazing educator here on YouTube. I'll link her down below. This came about because or at least came to my attention, because I've been doing a lot of browsing of teacher-related content. I'm at that point in the summer where I am switching from super relaxive, restorative mode to getting inspired and brainstorming kind of mode for the school year. And so I've been looking at a lot of content, and a few people that I follow on YouTube did this tag. So I thought it'd be cool if I did this tag. I thought y'all might be interested in learning a little bit more about me. And then also it works well for my own sake because it helps me kind of reflect and get in that teacher mode a little bit more. She gives us 11 questions. Now these questions are pretty interesting because they're not just typical teacher questions. A couple of them are, but they give you some insight. So the first question is, what do you teach and where? I teach middle school art in Central Texas. I teach in a small district that has less than 5 schools, and I am the only middle school art teacher, so I'm pretty independent. Also with that, I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and most of my classes are combined, so I don't have just 6th grade or just 7th grade kind of thing. Okay, now question number 2 is, how long have you been teaching? Officially, as a full-time public school educator, I have been teaching 4 years, but for my own personal sake, I count it as kind of like 10 years or so, because before then, when I was in my educator preparation program and a little bit before that, kind of figuring out if I wanted to be a teacher, I taught at a summer camp after school programs, and in that I had to create my own curriculum quite a lot, and I had to learn a lot about the topic I was teaching. It was robotics and engineering, and so I kind of count that as my experience, because not only was it a paid educator position, but I felt I grew so much as a teacher. A big reason why I am so successful and able to have everything so organized all the time is because I had practice in those years. Okay, question number 3. Did you always know you wanted to be a teacher? Short answer, no. Reflecting upon it a little bit, there's a memory that came up when I was about 4 or 5. I remember setting out all my little kitty chairs and had my stuffed animals in each chair, and then I was on this little kitty trampoline, and I was jumping her up and kind of doing a routine, and teaching my stuffed animals how to do that routine. And so that, I guess, subconsciously, teaching had always been an interest, but I was never like, okay, I want to be a teacher. So I had that memory, but when I got to high school and they were asking us, okay, what do you want to do? You kind of have to choose your electives to go with it, extracurriculars, kind of explore a little bit so that you can get some direction and start getting yourself prepared. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I kind of got it figured out when I got to college, but, well, I did figure it out when I got to college. But no, I did not always know I wanted to be a teacher. Okay. Question number 4. What is your typical outfit of the day? That varies by the time of the school year. First couple months of the school year, nice professional clothes. Then towards like December to January, the slacks come out and I put on khakis with that nice shirt. And then after that, the nice shirt goes away and I got a t-shirt with khakis, and that lasts for a long time. And then towards the end of the school year, last like couple months, I wear jeans as much as possible with that t-shirt. And then almost the whole time, I'm wearing tennis shoes. I do a lot of walking and a lot of moving things around. I am not going to wear those cute little flats and get blisters all over my feet. Question number 5. What do you usually bring for lunch? I am the most boring person when it comes to lunch. A couple of years ago, I started doing shakes. Now, not necessarily like a protein shake you'd have after a workout, but a meal replacement kind of shake. And I am allergic to whey, so I found a vegan protein shake that I really like that does not have whey. If you've ever heard of Vega, it's kind of like that, but it's not Vega. It's kind of like that. My phone. There we go. Okay, so I have that shake every day, and some days I will have half of an apple or some chips or something to go with it, but shake. Okay, question number 6. What is one of your favorite books about teaching? I have a couple. I have them over here on my bookshelf. My ultimate favorite book about teaching is this. It is The Classroom Teacher as Art Coach. This was written by a professor I had in college. She's no longer a professor, unfortunately. She retired. But she does a really great job of going through all sorts of content and curriculum for K through 8 in art. And she has a huge list in the back about different supplies you need to buy. And then there's a couple of laid out units for clay, printmaking, the super complicated detail management things that we have to do. So that's the first book. Second book, and I'll be honest, I haven't finished this one, but it is Setting Limits in the Classroom. This one I found was pretty good because I felt it gave a lot of insight in how kids think and how to extrinsically influence that some more. Now, I don't necessarily follow some of the specific procedures it lays out in here, but a lot of the philosophy in here is really good, and that's what really helped me be successful last year. So those two are the big ones, and then last but not least, First Days of School by Harry and Rosemary Wong. This is the best book ever for teachers. Of all the tags for this that I've been watching, I'm surprised no one has mentioned that book, because this book, you can follow step by step on how to set up your classroom, step by step, or set up like your first 2 weeks of school, and you're good to go. Like, this book is amazing. Okay, question number 7. What is one of your favorite teacher movies? To be totally honest, I do not like teacher movies because I feel like it never shows a realistic view of teaching. I feel like I can't relate to them very much. And maybe it's just my position and how things are set up at my school. Maybe it's just because I'm an art teacher, but the majority of videos, I feel they idolize what teaching is. The teacher comes into this super needy town and like puts in a lot of money and a time and effort and totally dedicates herself and then transforms these kids' lives. Or this teacher comes in and totally refixes everything immediately in a year. And yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, that kind of does happen sometimes, but that's not realistic at all. But I will say one that I do like, not really a teacher movie, is Pay It Forward. Purely because it shows how giving a simple assignment can really influence kids. That is something I can relate to. I have had that influence on kids. I had one girl last year, and it wasn't just one assignment. It was like assigning a series of a couple assignments that were new and interesting to her, and got to the point where she would come to school just to be in my class. And she had my class at the end of the day, so those actions, those assignments, those things I did got her to stay in school and kind of changed her life quite a lot. And that's what Pay It Forward kind of does. It shows how giving a simple assignment can have a big change. Although that huge change is not necessarily what always happens, but I think that's a good example. Okay. Question number 8. Who was your favorite teacher? I am super fortunate that throughout the years I had a lot of good teachers. In elementary school, I had the same teacher for kinder and second, Miss Stout. I don't know if she's still teaching. It's been maybe 5 or 6 years since I've checked in with her. But she was a really good teacher because she was super detailed and super encouraging. I think I was too young to really realize what a good teacher was and wasn't, but she instilled in me how great it is to figure things out. Now, I'm not necessarily like the best student ever, but in her classes I really felt like I was, and I felt like I was able to do a heck of a lot more in her classes. And then in high school, I had a Spanish teacher, Father J, who was just this most over-the-top, throw everything in, do everything at the school, super early, super late, all the time kind of teacher. And he really instilled in me how amazing it can be to be in a classroom all the time. And I think I learned a lot in his class. Recently, in the last few years, I have gotten back into studying and trying to get more into learning Spanish, and I started out, my baseline was not it was not 0. It was not super low either. I remember a lot from his class. I haven't used it in years and years, but I remember it because of how great of a teacher he was. And the funny fact is that when I was about to graduate from college, I had dinner with him one day, and kind of interviewing him about his teaching experience, trying to get some insight. And I realized that not only did he go to the same teacher college that I did, but he went to the same field experience program as I did with the same professor, and we both felt that he was like this amazing professor. And I was like, oh my gosh, one of my favorite teachers in high school was influenced by this other guy that I got trained by that I really liked. It was a pretty cool fact. So yeah, and then of course in college I had a few mentors that were really cool, and I still keep in contact with them. And I think I just really connected with my professors in college because I really looked up to them as our educators. They were really solid, and they were good examples of what I wanted to do with my life. Okay, question number 9. Who are some of your favorite teacher, YouTubers, Instagrammers, social media people? I don't do much in terms of social media. I do YouTube, of course, and I do Twitter is the other thing that I keep up with, and I do a little bit with Facebook, but Facebook I mainly do my personal stuff. And purely out of convenience, I do not want to keep up with Instagram or Snapchat. I don't even care to learn about all that stuff, and maybe eventually, maybe when Twitter goes extinct or something like that, I'll move on. But I feel like for now, I'm reaching a pretty good audience. But all of that to say that I follow a ton of people on Twitter, and I don't really have too many that are like my absolute favorites, but I love scrolling through, seeing their artwork. But on YouTube, one person that has really influenced me, try not to bump the table. So on YouTube, there is Bridget Spackman from The Lettered Classroom. She has really influenced me because she showed me how simple it can be to vlog as a teacher, and I really kind of liked her style. Although now that I have kind of emulated her style a little bit, I feel like I want to change it up next year, just simply because I felt like felt kind of bogged down with all of that video and kind of vlogging everything. But I really liked it, and so she is a really great educator. So I love her personality. She's so funny. Okay, question number 10. We are almost there. What is one of your best classroom management tips? Okay, so when I was in college, I heard from I don't know how many professors in education that you need to be consistent, that you need to start off the year strong, don't let go, be consistent, do that as long as you can. Oh my gosh, it is so true. I really did not realize how true and important it was until this past year. This past year was, by the way, my best year yet. Let's make next year. It's going to be even better. I'm getting the things going in my head. But you really have to come on strong at the beginning of the school year. Not like super, super strong. Don't totally throw yourself out of the window, but you need to be on top of all of those little behaviors that you don't want happening in your classroom. You need to be on top of your rules. You need to have detention as much as possible. You need to call parents every single day. You need to make those positive calls. You need to reinforce everything. So that's my biggest tip. Come on really strong at the beginning of the school year, and then be consistent throughout the rest of the year. All right, last question. Question number 11. What is one reason you decided to be a teacher? Well, it's hard to say one reason, but I'll kind of tell you my thinking and how I decided to become a teacher. Like I said before, I didn't particularly know what I wanted to do. I went to a Catholic high school, and I always had trouble dating and wasn't particularly interested in dating a lot in high school. So junior, senior year, kind of thinking, I wouldn't mind being a nun. I wouldn't mind, at least not a nun as in like one in a convent, but I was thinking kind of a nun like the teachers I had at school who were Franciscan sisters, that's what they call themselves. Franciscan sisters. They wore casual clothes. They were really just community supports, and they led independent lives. Some of them lived in houses with other sisters. Some of them lived on their own, and they just did whatever assignment they had. And so that's kind of what I was thinking. But then I started dating my husband. And when I got to college, I took a handful of different art classes, and arts as in dance and theater and all sorts of stuff. And I kind of settled on visual arts because in dance, I realized that I just didn't have the discipline for it. I liked it a lot, and I liked the freedom of the movement, but part of what influenced that is I was not fully accepted by the people who were in the dance program, and the professors just was like, oh, she's okay. Like, I was not this amazing person, so I was not getting these positive vibes from the dance department. And I did theater, and I was not a performer. I performed in one play that year. I was not a performer. I sucked at performing. But I loved technical theater. I loved building things and painting things and designing props. I got to be in charge of props one semester, and it was awesome. So doing props and technical theater is a lot like doing visual arts, and I was doing really well in my visual arts classes. So that led me to choose visual arts. And then I was thinking, okay, so how am I going to make money doing this? And I knew that I did not want to just be an artist be that struggling, starving artist who worked for years and years to build clientele and to build contracts and build portfolios and kind of develop my style. I just didn't have the patience for that. And so I was thinking, okay, well, I could teach with it, and that the thought of teaching did not faze me at all, even though it was not a good performer. I didn't mind performing, I just was not good. So that kind of led to teaching, and then when I moved on from my college to a university, I transferred to a university, I found a really good art education program, and so I went and led through that, and as the years went on, I took more classes, I realized this really was for me, and that's why I became a teacher, because I needed a way to make money making art. And being a teacher is not, like, you don't get paid that much, but honestly, it's a steady pay, so it's kind of nice. Okay, so that is the ITEACHTOO tag. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, I want to do some of y'all's suggestions, leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I will see y'all next time.